Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Lovers Podcast. I'm your host, Brock Marucci. Finally returning is Hunter Nisley. Hunter, welcome back to the pod. How are you feeling and how are you doing?
Oh, Mr. Brock, I'm so happy to be back. I apologize for my little hiatus there, but I'm back. I'm better than ever. I'm feeling good, and I'm ready to talk some college football today, Brock. How are you, sir? How have you been doing?
I'm great. I'm a little tired out. I was outside for a good portion of the day, and it was a hot one, but it was worth it. And hey, glad you're back, and let's get into some college football. We had week one. Week one, I would say, pretty exciting. Week one, a lot of upsets, a lot of good games. We're gonna start with the game that just everybody else is talking about. I really wanted to throw my 2 cents in, and Nisley's as well, as we had the Deion Sanders led Colorado Buffaloes going into TCU and getting a win. Nisley, what is your reaction to this?
Man, I feel like I deserve to be called out. I feel like Deion Sanders needs to call me out because I was not. I believe in Deion Sanders and I believed in what was going to eventually happen at Colorado. I didn't think they were going to beat TCU. Coming off of a national championship runner-up, TCU, and I know TCU lost a lot of guys, but it was still a full football team. Colorado has like 80 transfers. Like it's just unheard of. Literally everybody played anywhere other than Colorado last year. Like they've known each other for like 4 months. It's not been a long time that they've been together. Um, and I mean, shout out to Travis Hunter, corner slash wide receiver, uh, arguably the best at both position in the country at this point. He played, I think, over 100 snaps over the weekend, which is just absolutely absurd. Certainly hope he gets a little rest maybe against Nebraska in this coming weekend. But just I they played better than I expected. Um, they were electric on offense. Defense was a little shaky, but it was a shootout and it was fun and it was at TCU and uh, he he's making Deion Sanders is making things happen at the University of Colorado and it's exciting, man. It's fun for college football. It's fun for just football in general. Um, and who you know the only better thing that can happen at this point is Nebraska whoops Colorado this weekend. That's the only that would make it 100% better just to see Matt Rule and the Cornhuskers just take it to them.
Oh man.
That's what I want to see a little bit, but super fun. And what about you, Brock? What were your thoughts on the Buffs?
Yes, so similar to you, I was like, yeah, I think Dion, it's gonna go well. There will be success, but like, no way it happens right away. And I was like, I think this will be a good game, but TCU is gonna win. And I realized like, I was able to watch most of the game, and like, on the very first drive for Colorado, I was like, okay, they came out faster, more aggressive. I think these guys are actually the sharper team, and the I felt like immediately they put TCU on their heels. They had a good defensive stop, and then they scored, and so I was like, oh, this could be for real. And then they won again. I didn't think they were going to win. So, um, as far as like the team wise, I agree too. It's like it's almost a completely new team. There are very few players from last year, and that is like, what the heck?
Hmm. Unheard of.
Yeah. So I really think it's great for Dion. It's great that Travis Hunter played at he got him to flip to Jackson State and then came with him to Colorado. That's a great story. He had some Jackson State boys roughing it up against big TCU. So I had another point I was going to make, but yeah, it's really exciting for Colorado. I can't imagine they'll lose next week to Nebraska. I mean, you never know in a rivalry like that. But Nebraska losing in typical Nebraska fashion on Thursday or Friday night, whenever it was. But I really think like I'm going all in on the Buffaloes. All right, this is my overreaction. I am Big 12 champs. Well, they're still in the Pac-12 at this point. But Pac-12 champs, Colorado Buffaloes. I'm riding the Dion wave, baby.
Dion Wade, baby.
As one thing I did want to comment about was like I think it's cool that Travis Hunter is a two-way player, but I don't, hey, maybe they'll prove me wrong because again I didn't think they would win, but I was like, dude, like you said, like over 100 snaps. That's is that even sustainable in today's game? Let's just say hypothetically they were to go to the national championship, and Travis Hunter stays at this course. That's over like 500 snaps of, or sorry, not 500. That's like however many snaps of football it is.
Probably like 1,400.
1,400.
Just a stupid amount.
Yeah, and then if he plays it like that, that's gonna be 1,500. Like, I just think like I never want to tell. I would never want to tell someone if like they're good at it, hey, don't do this. But I do believe it'd be more beneficial just stay as the wide receiver, like, and hey, Dion also did that. He was also a two-way player, sometimes even a three-way player, playing on special teams for punts. So I think it's really cool that Dion did that, but I think it's like I don't think it should become a thing. I think like just focus
Dion's
on
body is paying the price right now.
Oh yeah,
man can barely walk.
Yeah,
he's hobbling on and off the field right now.
Multiple blood clots, and also like had to get some of his toes amputated as well. At one point, his leg was going to be amputated. Thankfully, I believe, or as of right now, at least that did not have to happen. So, I mean, you already
still has both legs.
Yeah.
So we're good right now.
Yeah. So great win for the Buffaloes. It's going to be tough, I think, for TCU to come back after that one. I think they will be able to, but yeah, right now there's only two teams after last night, with Florida State being LSU. There's two teams with a ranked win. That's Colorado and Florida State, which I mean is just a silly fact because not many teams played other ranked teams, but still, just a fun thing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out Florida State, by the way. They looked good last night. LSU did not. The Brian Kelly led LSU team.
Brian Kelly
fumbling it again in a big game again.
Brian Kelly is cursed. Okay, like Florida State will be his nemesis for the rest of his life. Like that every single time, no matter what, he has trouble with Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Florida State they looked good. People are pretty excited about them, and I guess after last night, they've definitely earned some more credibility in my book, at least. So we'll see where they go from here.
You know what? It's the new uniforms for Florida State. They're not a lot different, but it's a more of a maroon color instead of that red color that they had on their uniforms for a long time. That's all the difference. The helmets look a little better, a little shinier. I think that's what it was.
Hey, if you look good, you feel good, and if you feel good, you play good, and if they play good, they pay good.
You're right. Everybody's getting paid.
Yes, sir. I mean that's about it I had for Colorado and TCU. What do you? Anything else for you?
No, I think I do want to say one thing regarding LSU real quick.
Alrighty, yeah, please.
Specifically about Brian Kelly. I'm a believer in his coaching ability, his coaching talent, and the talent he brings in. But every time he loses a big game like this, he was in his press conference after the game, he said, we're not who we thought we were. And I don't think I've ever heard Brian Kelly just be like, hey, I got out coached or they just beat us. It's always like, my team should be executed. We're not who we thought we were.
Oh my gosh.
Like, can the man just take responsibility for a loss ever? Why is it always his players? Why is it always like, my players suck, man? We just got to figure it out.
Oh, man.
Like, why can't he be like, yeah, man, they just had our number tonight. I got to do some things better. We'll be better next week. Like, he's got to say something stupid and not blame himself, but blame everybody else,
When you
that upsets me.
If you remember last year when LSU lost to Florida State, in the press conference, he was mad that the media was like late to the post-game conference, and they're like, well, maybe if you won, like, we would have been here sooner or something like that. And he was like, well, it's not about winning, it's about being on time. So that's what I think now. Every time they lose, I'm just like, it's not about winning, it's about being on time.
Dude, he's something else, man.
Yeah,
a talented coach, but the man just needs to be put in his place or something. He needs checked right now.
He's under a lot of pressure too, so I didn't really think about this until more recently. Ryan Clark was on the Varsity House podcast, and he brought up this insane like fact I'd never really thought of. I'm not sure how far back it goes, and maybe it's true for all of them, but like every coach at LSU has won a national championship. You know, like Nick Saban won one, you know, Les Miles won one, Ed Orgeron. So now it's like, okay, dude, like you got you're in the conference, like this bigger conference, more respected conference. You're supposedly getting better players than you were at Notre Dame, Cincinnati, what have you. Are you gonna, you know, are we gonna get more results? You know,
Hmm.
so right now, I mean, with one loss, it's tough. It's annoying. Getting smoked like that as well is going to be tough. But last year we saw them, you know, make some noise and make it to the SEC championship. So I don't think we can count them out just yet. But definitely not how you want to start the year at all.
No, and I mean, Florida State looked pretty good as well. LSU certainly looked sloppy, but there were flashes of greatness there. So it's week one. Anything can happen. It's better to lose early than it is to lose late.
Before we move on to like our next game, I just thought of this. I'm kind of going off script here. I have like no notes. I'll admit I did not do much prep for this. Not like my colleague, that is. But a few just quick moments I thought of over the weekend that I liked or thought were worth sharing. One, like Oregon putting up like 81 points, and the coach for the other team was crying, and the player had to like console him. I'm like, man, what as a player, what do you say? Do you just turn the philosophy on him like, it's okay, coach. Like, we'll get him next time. Don't don't have your head down, man. Like,
It was
81.
brutal.
That is brutal. We
That's a
had
lot of points.
that's a
And with the
lot.
new rules, with the clock rules too, like that's insane.
Yeah, that is 81 to. I think it was like 81 to 0 or something like that. Like, jeez.
Hmm.
Uh, I got to watch Wyoming beat Texas Tech, double overtime thriller. That was a pretty fun game. I didn't get to watch this one, but I know Fresno State beat Purdue.
Yes,
And
sir.
I brought up this game in a previous episode, but I forgot about how significant it really was in a certain way, and that was Virginia playing Tennessee. I totally forgot about the tragic shooting that had happened involving the Virginia football players, and their season, the last 2 or 3 games were canceled. They didn't play, so this is the first time they've played, since then. And I think like you didn't win, and it was a bit of a beatdown, but it was just great that they played, and that in a way that's the first step towards getting back to kind of where you would want to be. So, I mean, that's
Yeah.
shout out to them and best of luck to them in the future. Honestly.
Yeah, shout out Virginia. Unfortunate they had to play Tennessee. That was unfortunate, but hoping the best for them, and certainly there's be just nice to see them out on the football field again.
All right, so moving on, we'll get to one of the big night games, and that was West Virginia at Penn State. Hunter and I watched this together at my house in this very building. Penn State getting a good win there to start the season. And Isley, what were you thinking after that game? What are your thoughts now that we're 2 days removed?
Yeah, I'm thinking if you're a Penn State fan, if you're a big believer in the Nittany Lions, you probably feel fairly decent after that game. There were certainly a couple of growing pains, a couple of things that could be better, but I think overall you're probably feeling okay. Drew Alar looked fantastic. He was really good. The running game was fairly decent. They averaged over 5 yards a carry. Um, Defensively was okay. I think a little underwhelming for Penn State. The defensive line didn't necessarily look great, but they looked okay. The linebackers were a little shaky, but
Some missed tackles.
yeah, couple missed tackles. But I think you have to be pretty happy in the wide receiver room right now with Lambert Smith looked pretty decent. Malik McClain came out of transfer from Florida State, looked very good. Liam Clifford, shout out Liam Clifford,
The little red
came-
dog.
the little red dog. He had an all right game, so it was definitely a big question mark, and I don't know that Penn State necessarily has like a number one guy at receiver right now, or at least not a true number one. But I think you probably feel okay after that too. So, and couple of small things to work on. You know, their red zone efficiency wasn't great, but that's stuff you can figure out throughout the season. Couple missed field goals, but honestly, I don't think that's something right now that Penn State fans need to worry about with two missed field goals in the first half. So, but overall, I'd say not bad, not bad for at least a you know didn't open up against a team like Wofford or an FCS team or anything like that. They at least played a Power Five opponent.
Tense game to start the year, just at least at the start. Like a lot of, like you said, like not a smaller school. There was definitely some nerves on both sides. I'd say like a night game to start you off. Um, yeah, I really like that. You mentioned the running backs. Like it's great that they can have that two-headed monster of Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, and there's not this battle for who's the real running back. They're both in there blocking for each other, running for each other. Like that is great to see. And with Drew, yeah, I think he looked great. Moved well for a guy his size. We had some trouble with some false start or not some false starts, but a bit of game clock management. Some trouble there. Also, what to do after I think it was like a commercial break or a halftime. But those are all things like I believe they can fix. You definitely wouldn't want to see it in the game like that, but this is week one. It's not like there weren't, there was no picks, there was no fumbles, there was no, uh, you know, dropped punts, blocked field goals. So you have a nice game against Delaware again to try to help iron it out. If we see some of that in Delaware, I'd be a little concerned. But really, I think like one of the better openers Penn State has had, and I'm really excited for the season.
I agree. Now there was a little bit of controversy at the end of this game, Brock. 31-15. Penn State has the ball. 6 seconds to go, and they end up scoring, or maybe like 10 seconds to go. They end up scoring to make it
Oh yeah,
38-15. Controversy with this is that allowed Penn State to cover the spread, and it happened with 6 seconds to go in the game.
yeah.
Um, and West Virginia's coach was like, "Oh, they should have just taken a knee, but it'll come back to bite them later and stuff." What are your thoughts about uh, teams? I guess you could almost say Penn State was like trying to run up the score, or maybe they just wanted to cover the spread. There could be a lot of things. But what were your thoughts on Penn State scoring right there at the end?
Yeah, so as far as running up the score, now I think that top to bottom, backup, third string, fourth string, however, I think that this is a really talented Penn State team. I do have faith that if Bo had to come in and play, I'd be like, okay, I believe that this guy can play. But if you said someone's running up the score, I'm like, okay, they left all the starters in, like they didn't stop like anything, like they had just all the big name guys in there. Here it was like, yeah, they could have taken a knee, probably should have taken a knee, but also like, um, I feel like if you're Bo in that situation, you want to show off that what you can do and that you can score and that. So I think he wanted to run in there and score. I do think like there's still a little bit of uncertainty with quarterback, honestly. Not that I think Drew looked good, but like Franklin didn't announce the starting quarterback. Drew, now maybe he looked this way just because he wanted to finish the game, but Drew didn't look too happy when they put Bo in. Um, but I can understand like, oh, just take a knee there, like we're gonna win. As far as the West Virginia coach saying that, um, if the situation were reversed, I bet he would do it too. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I bet if West Virginia was winning 3 seconds left, they'd probably say, "Yep, we need a big signature win against a ranked team." So most of the time, I'm like, okay, dude, just take the knee. Like nobody wants to kick off the ball, nobody wants to have any more plays, but I would just like, yeah, Bo's trying to. I think he's trying to remind everyone like, hey, like I can play and show off that he can play. So, uh, I'm fine with it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm the same way, and then with Penn State being a college football playoff hopeful, um, winning week one against West Virginia, if West Virginia happens to go 5-7 or 6-6, it looks a lot better if they won 38-15 than if they won 31-15. You know, Those points really, they truly do matter at the end of the day. They'll look back if Penn State's, you know, ranked fifth, fourth, fifth, sixth in the country, they're going to be like, oh well, they're at a conference schedule wasn't great, and their one team that they played that was a Power Five team that was West Virginia. If they don't have a good season, they only won by 2 touchdowns. That's not a good look. At least they won more comfortably. So I don't really think it matters, and we've seen in the past too. If we just want to talk about guys getting meaningful playing time, what about Penn State at Iowa a few years ago? Taquan Roberson comes into the game after Sean Clifford gets hurt and looked very much not prepared.
No,
Looked
sir.
like,
No, sir.
I mean, they couldn't even get a snap off. They had like 6, 7, 8 false starts in the second half of that game. It was ugly. So it's important to get guys like Bo meaningful playing time in meaningful games, and that way, if there were any situation where he would have to come in and play extended minutes, he would at least have a little bit under his belt, a little bit of experience.
Yeah, I think those are all great points. And Bo wearing number 9, running the football, I kind of looked like Trace McSorley out there, right?
He really did. Honestly, like if you didn't know that wasn't Trace McSorley, you'd probably think it was Trace McSorley.
Yeah, and I remember a few years back, um, Penn State hosted Georgia State, and now Penn State is up big at halftime. Georgia State had this was a team that had just recently been promoted. I'm trying to remember what they just made progress as a program. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they're going into halftime. Georgia State wants to kick a field goal, and Franklin calls timeout to ice the kicker, and the guy missed. And people were not happy about this. A lot of analysts were not happy about this. I believe this was in 2017. And I was just thinking I can understand okay, dude, it's Georgia State, just let them kick the field goal and move on. But when it comes to the 4-team college football playoff, you don't want to leave anything up for debate. So the previous year, 2016, Penn State, they won however many games in a row. They beat Ohio State, they beat all these big teams. They come back to win against Wisconsin, and they win the Big Ten title, and they still can't get into the college football playoffs. Now, 2 wins versus 1 win, but the team that went in over them was Ohio State because they had 1 loss. So I don't know. I just with that low of a margin for error, you just don't want to give them any room. So, and again, if it's I could see almost any coach. If Georgia State was beating the crap out of Penn State, they would want it to be a shutout. So,
Yeah, it looks better.
Yeah. So I am fine with it. It would have to be egregious. Like if it was Oregon winning, if Penn State was winning 81-0 against Penn State, or Penn State was winning 81-0 against West Virginia, and they tried to block ice the kicker for a field goal, it's like, okay, that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But so I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I agree, Mr. Brock. I agree.
There's probably more significant games over the weekend, but they're escaping me at this moment. Sorry to those teams. So I'm gonna move on unless you had anything else you wanted to say, Nisley.
No, I think I'm ready.
Yeah. Oh well, we did have Northwestern playing Rutgers. They just lost to Rutgers. Not looking good for the Northwestern Wildcats this year, and
Looking
probably
good for Rutgers.
Yeah, 1-0. That's got to be great for them.
They're first place in the Big Ten. They're tied for first. That's more than most teams. That's more than Penn State can say. That's more than most teams can say. They're tied with Ohio State. They're tied with the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
and Minnesota for first place.
Oh man. Yeah. But alrighty, let's I have already given my college football playoff prediction, and Nisley had to scribble one down quickly before we got started. I was wondering, Nisley, what do you got for us for the college football playoff?
Oh man, Brock, I got some good stuff here for you. All right, my number 1 team. It's the Georgia Bulldogs, no question. They're gonna run the table in the SEC. They're just better than everybody there, no question. Number 2, I got the Michigan Wolverines. I think they're pretty good. They're gonna lose in the college football playoff most likely. They've been of course, Harbaugh suspended for the first couple of games. The team's acting like he's like on his deathbed right
Yeah,
now.
he's in a
They're
hospital
like
or something.
they're like doing tributes for him during the game and talking, and I'm like it's a self-imposed suspension. Like he's fine. He's living the life. Okay, he's good. Um, but Michigan, my number 2 right now. Number 3, I got the Fighting Irish in Notre Dame in there at number 3.
Whoa.
They, I think they're good. They're good, Brock. And I
Okay.
know you'll like that. I like Sam Howell. I like
Sam
the Irish.
Hartman.
I like their. Excuse me, Sam Hartman, not
Yeah.
Sam Howell, not the Commanders quarterback. Notre Dame's good though. And then my number 4 team. This is my hot take of the year, Brock. Hot take of the
Oh
year.
boy.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
2 Big Ten teams in the college football playoff, Brock.
Okay.
Do you want to take any guesses as to who number 4 is?
Okay, so you said hot take, so that makes me think it's not who I would immediately think it is. So, are you putting Penn State in there?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, this team will beat Penn State,
Okay, then I'm going to go Ohio State.
not the Buckeyes.
Michigan State?
No, sir.
Is this something stupid?
No, I don't think so. They're a ranked team.
Iowa?
The Hawkeyes of
Oh my
Iowa,
God.
baby.
Oh my
Hear
God.
me out. Hear me out, Brock. Hear me out. Okay. Iowa, they play a certain brand of football. They play Big Ten West football.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do.
Like them, like Rutgers, like Minnesota. Yeah, they play a certain brand of football. Okay. And these new rule changes. Okay, clock doesn't stop after a first down. Meaning, what happens if you go down 7-0 to Iowa in the first half? You're not getting the ball back. They're gonna run the ball very methodically. All right. They can't throw the ball to save their lives usually. Okay. But they're gonna just a little 4-yard screen here, little 6-yard slant here, little 4-yard run here. Before you know it, they've had the ball for like 13 minutes straight. Okay.
Okay.
And yes, they had a very unconvincing win against Utah State this weekend. I understand. They only put up 24 points. Okay, This team hasn't scored more than like 30 in what feels like a decade. But these new rules, Brock. The Hawkeyes. It's the Hawkeyes' year. Okay. Listen, I have their schedule pulled up right here.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say, tell me the schedule.
Next week, Iowa State. Win.
You think they can win that? That would be a
Yes,
tough one.
at Iowa State, rivalry game. It's
Yeah.
gonna be close. All right, give me 13-10 Iowa.
Okay.
At home against Western Michigan. Win.
Okay.
Give me 24-7 Iowa. Next week, at Penn State.
That's the
And Happy
whiteout.
Valley.
That's the whiteout.
The whiteout. Give me Iowa 9-3.
No, sir. Absolutely not.
Next week, at home against Michigan State. They don't stand a chance. Give me Iowa 17-0 against Michigan State.
17.
Next week, against the Boilermakers, the big one. Give me Iowa 35-14.
Why is
okay?
that the big one?
Big points, okay? They're
Okay.
scoring a lot that game.
Okay.
The next week, at Wisconsin. Tough one. Camp Randall. Give me the Hawkeyes. 10-9.
At Wisconsin or Ohio State?
At Wisconsin, not the
You said Buckeyes.
the Badgers.
They're the Badgers in Madison.
Badgers in Madison. Camp Randall, baby. Next week, Minnesota. Give me the Hawkeyes. Next week, at Northwestern. Oh. Give me the Hawkeyes.
Oh, my
20-0. Next week, home against Rutgers. It's gonna be tight. All right, Rutgers. They got something going on there in New Jersey. I tell you what. But give me Iowa. Then the next week, they got Illinois. It's gonna be the ugliest game you've ever seen. Give me Iowa, 3-2.
3-2.
And then the last week of the season,
Yeah.
they're visiting Nebraska, the Cornhuskers. Matt Rule, at this point, he may have 10 wins, he may have 0 wins. It could be anywhere in between. Nebraska is the king of one-score losses.
That's true, actually, yeah. Or within 2.
They're not beating the Hawkeyes, buddy.
They're going undefeated?
There's something going on. No, no, no. See, they're going to beat Nebraska. They're
Okay.
going to go to the Big Ten championship. If they're going to lose to Michigan, all right, they're losing to Michigan. But then they both make the college football playoff, and we get a rematch. We get a rematch in the college football championship. 2 versus 4. Michigan, Iowa. And it's a barn burner. Give me the Hawkeyes, national champions, because of the new rules. You know what they're going to do? They're going to see Michigan. All right, Michigan's going to get the ball first. They're going to go 3 and out, and Iowa is going to score. They're going to have the ball the remainder of the first half. All right, it's going to be penalties galore, and they're going to run the ball, and they're going to score a touchdown with like 10 seconds to go in the half. All right, and then they get the ball back to start the second half, and they're just not going to give it up. They're gonna hold the ball the entirety of the second half, Brock, and they're gonna win 7-0. It's the Hawkeyes' year.
Oh my god.
You heard it here first.
Before you started with this, I asked, "Is this something dumb?" and you said no.
It's not dumb. This is gonna happen, bro.
They would
Hawkeyes' year.
If this somehow happens, they would not let a team like this into the college football playoffs.
And you know what's even better? The Hawkeyes. They have former Michigan quarterback Cade McNamara.
You don't think they'd let him throw?
Revenge. He's not allowed to throw the football. They are going to run the ball, and they're going to play defense.
Who are they winning in the national? Who are they beating in the national championship?
Michigan. 2 versus 4. Michigan's going to take down Notre Dame.
Okay.
Iowa's beating Georgia to get into the national championship game.
I believe we've just lost all credibility.
Listen, Georgia's never seen a team like Iowa, Brock. Not once in the history of Georgia Bulldog football have they come across a team like the Iowa Hawkeyes in the year 2023. They're going to win 3-0.
Oh my goodness. There is no singular way any of that happens. I was with you until this.
Until what? At what point? What?
When you said Iowa, all of it.
But do I need to go through the schedule again? You want me to go through the schedule again?
Oh my goodness.
Do I need to do it again?
There's no way they would let a team like that into the college football playoff. They would put a different conference champion in that role. They would not let a team, if it goes the way you say, they'd be like, these guys win 7-0. Meanwhile, Washington and Oregon are winning like
they got
81-0.
They're beating Penn State. They're beating Wisconsin. All right. They just beat Utah State, Brock. Sneaky.
I'm about to beat myself over the head with my microphone after everything I've just heard.
Listen, I don't make the rules, Brock. All right. the college football made the new rules this year with the clock. Okay. It's them. It's not me.
I do think Iowa and Illinois could be an ugly game and one of the ugliest I've ever seen. But
listen, and if
I'm listening, yeah.
What's even crazier, Brock?
Oh,
if Iowa doesn't get the job done, Illinois is getting the job done. It's one of those two teams this year, Brock. One of those two.
I think this is going to be our last episode ever. I think.
You have to believe in Big Ten West football.
I have not a single. I don't think a team from the Big Ten West will win the Big Ten championship. Well, there won't be divisions here soon.
This is their last chance. But this is the last possible chance for Big Ten West football to make a name for themselves.
That side is just not on the same level as the East.
You're right. They're better. They're better this year, Brock.
All right, let's move on, please. I'm going to have to hand it back over to you because, Nisley, I believe you have some information about the Pac-12 that you'd like to share with us.
I do. Iowa's moved. No.
Oh, God.
No. Crazy stuff about the Pac-12. So, of course, everybody has pretty much left the Pac-12 except for Washington State, Oregon State. And now there's a scenario that even with all these teams leaving, the Pac-12 is still technically allowed to be a conference with only 2 teams for 2 years. They have 2 years to figure it out, Brock. So this conference can have just Washington State, just Oregon State for a couple of seasons. All right. And I don't know how scheduling would work. They could just play each other every week. They could try to do like be essentially independents and just play everybody else. They could be like the Notre Dames of the world, the Armies of the world. But they have a shot at getting a team into the playoff if the rules don't change. Now the rules are probably going to change to make sure this doesn't happen. But right now, Oregon State, they're a top 20 team. They had a pretty nice win over San Jose State this last weekend. Let's say their momentum continues into next year too, and there's no rule changes. Maybe they're like a number 10 team, and they can still technically have a conference championship in the Pac-12. Them versus Washington State, right?
Okay, you said they get like a bid, right? Like an automatic bid if they win the championship.
Yeah, it's because the playoff changes next year where it's 12 teams. I believe it's next year when it changes to 12 teams. And it's either the top 5 or top 6 conference champions based on rank are automatic qualifiers into the college football playoff. So if they can just figure out how to be like a top 15ish team next year, and then they beat Washington State in their conference championship, the only team that they have in their conference, Oregon State goes to the college football playoff. And I mean, Oregon State looked great against San Jose State. That offensive line is legit. They have the transfer quarterback from Clemson. He just transferred there. They have some like legitimate talent, and they have a real actual chance of maybe winning the Pac-12 this year. But next year is when it gets dicey, when it gets crazy. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that sounds kind of fun. Obviously, I doubt that they would let it get to that point. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I mean, they would have to like, I know the Pac-12 wanted to accept a few schools, but then there was an issue with them. Like Pac-12 is like academics. They have some of the better academic schools in there, and some of the teams they wanted to bring in didn't meet that standard. So at this point, it just seems like a lost cause that it'll just have to dissolve. Like, I think Oregon State and I think in Washington State, I think they will find a home eventually, and things will work out bit by bit. But that would be fun. Like, you just have this whole schedule of basically independent, and then the Pac-12 championship. But
it would be insane.
Yeah,
it would be fun to watch as a fan. It would be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, it'd be very unique, but I just don't see that happening for real. I definitely think that this year is the last big Pac-12 championship we'll probably see in football.
Hey, Pac-12 is yet to lose a football game. As a conference, they are undefeated after week 1.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. I mean, how it's gonna go from here, but like the tough thing, like Pac-12, I think as of right now, it looks good on paper. Last year, the Pac-12 had a pretty good year. Like the year before that, they didn't look too bad. It's like, oh wow, like so right when they decided to end this thing, things started to turn around for them.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it is unfortunate and of course, like Oregon's year in and year out pretty decent. USC has come back and looking pretty good. Colorado, of course, is very much on the rise. Oregon State's been, last year they were pretty good. It looks like they've got, some momentum into this year and probably into next year too. Washington is in the past has been pretty good too. They've got a good shot at winning the Pac-12 this year. Like there's teams there.
UCLA.
Yeah, there's not many pushovers in the Pac-12, and it's unfortunate that they're all just going everywhere.
And that's it. Yeah.
Utah's another one.
A fun scenario. I definitely don't think it's going to happen though. Final bit here. Next weekend, I was looking through last night. Not too many big games next weekend. We have like the biggest game is going to be Texas at Alabama. I think that'll be a fun one. Imagine having Alabama the second game of your season. That would just be brutal.
Happened to Penn State once. Didn't go well.
That's right. Yeah. Then there's some. Then we actually have a rematch of our favorite game from last year. We actually have App State going to North Carolina. Hopefully, it
Mm,
lives up to the game last year because that
I
was a
hope
fun
so
one.
too. Yeah.
Another one I hope ends up being pretty fun. Ole Miss is going to Tulane.
Hmm.
I don't know if this is like if they're at Tulane or if this is neutral site or what, but I really think that one will be pretty fun.
Yeah. Shout out Tulane.
Yeah. Other
Beat
than
USC last year.
they did, yeah, in their bowl game. So I think that's it. I mean, we have like Notre Dame at North Carolina State. Like we'll see. Like apparently Sam Hartman has had a lot of trouble with North Carolina State. So I don't know. Maybe
It's
that could.
an ACC boy.
Yeah, so maybe that could be good. But
Did we get Pitt, West Virginia next week?
no, actually,
Or
so
was that the following week?
it's the week after. Actually, West Virginia they play Duquesne.
Mm.
It's kind of funny because that's also like a Pittsburgh
They're just
area school.
Yeah, they're just going through Pennsylvania right now.
Yeah.
They're playing Penn State, Duquesne, Pitt. They're playing
Where's
everybody.
Temple? Get Temple on there.
Yeah,
Like
seriously.
so. Yeah, it did look like that at one point that it was like West Virginia played Penn State and then Pitt, but they changed the schedule or did whatever they had to and got that in there. But are there any games like outside of the ones I've mentioned, or to add on like any games you're excited for this weekend?
Uh, I'm actually not even aware of many of the games for this weekend. I know tonight we have Duke and Clemson, which I'll probably, when I'm at work, I'm probably going to try to tune into a little bit of that, or at least try to catch the end of that game. So I'll be watching the Blue Devils take on Clemson. Let's go Duke, baby.
Yes, sir. But yeah. Oh, okay. I remembered one last thing. I can't believe I forgot to bring this up. Penn State, West Virginia, defense looked good, but I was really annoyed that West Virginia got that. I think it was a 2 point conversion off of like the ring
Mhm.
around the rosy play where they were just running around in a circle and then they lined up and pitched it. I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
Just yeah,
that was
I
kind of
agree.
annoying.
That's why Penn State ended up scoring again. They were just annoyed.
Yeah, they're like, you're gonna run this on us? Like, okay, here you go. You think
Yeah.
you're special? Here you go.
You
Also,
think you're
West Virginia, not even kicking a field goal or a punt. They're like fourth down or nothing.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, they really went for it. I mean, I give them props. Like they came in trying very hard to win. And,
yeah,
they were. I think they went for it on fourth down like four
4 or
times.
5. Yeah,
Yeah, they and
there were a few
shout out
punts.
shout out West Virginia.
No.
Country roads take me home,
Yeah,
baby.
I was hoping somehow Penn State would play that, but
I
they
To
held
our
off.
knowledge, they did
To
not.
our knowledge, they did not. Well, alrighty. I believe that is all I've got, and for this past weekend and college football as we know it right now. Now, is there anything else you wanted to add before we sign off?
I don't think I have much else, Brock. I'm just excited for more college football. Of course, we'll probably be watching at least a decent amount of the Penn State games together. And I'm just looking forward to a fun season, and maybe I'll get a chance to go to a game. I haven't been to a game since 2019, so maybe I'll try to get up to one this year.
Oh wow, yeah, that would be fun. But alrighty, everyone, this has been the Sports Lovers Podcast. The two of us, we got the Avengers back together, baby, and look forward to more episodes in the future. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.